Alright, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to make a smoked bacon cheeseburger meatloaf. So the first thing we're going to do is saute some onions and peppers that will go into the meatloaf. So for right now, just taking a cast iron skillet, going to put in a little bit of butter for flavor and a little bit of oil to keep it from sticking. And then we are going to dice up one green pepper and one yellow sweet onion. These are going in the skillet. A lot of people just throw their onions and peppers into their ground beef mixture raw without cooking them. I am not a fan of that. I want my onions and peppers soft. I want the flavor of them without actually having to crunch them. All right, now a little salt. A little pepper. And a bunch of minced garlic. So the next thing we're going to do is use the processor and crush up some pork rinds. We are using these instead of breadcrumbs. We need about 1.5 to 2 cups. And it actually takes quite a bit of pork rinds to get that much. So we're just going to pulverize these real quick. All right. Enough of those. Let's stir the onions and peppers. Turn them down a little bit. All right, next thing we need to do is we need to dice up the bacon. Dice this up fairly fine. Some people like to lay bacon strips over top of their meatloaf, but I don't think that does a whole lot. I'd rather have it mixed in. Making about a 4-pound meatloaf, so I've got to use 2 different bowls to mix it all in. But 3 pounds of ground beef, 1 pound of bacon, and then 1 pound of breakfast sausage. All right. Same thing, we're going to do half the breakfast sausage in one bowl and half in the other bowl. And we're feeding about 10 people, so that's why I'm making such a big meatloaf. And I also will be using this throwaway aluminum pan because in the smoker you want that smoke to get around it as much as possible. So I won't fill that whole pan. I'll basically freehand and shape the meatloaf myself. If you use a meatloaf pan and you pack it all the way in there, then you're only getting smoke on the top. And you want that smoke all the way around. One egg in each. You're also going to do a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in each. All right, I'm going to get some split this in half. Could have done all of this on the Blackstone outside, but it is raining today, so we're forced to cook in the kitchen. All right, now we are adding our ground beef. Going to end up being a 6-pound meatloaf. We are going to smoke it at 225, and it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours until we get an internal temperature of 160. Now, my mama and my grandma would probably be mad, but I'm putting gloves on to mix this up. Last thing I forgot to mention is that I'm throwing in a bunch of the Meat Church Holy Voodoo. It's a little bit sweet, little bit spicy, but it is absolutely delicious. We use it on wings. We use it on a lot of beef. So all we're doing is just getting all of this folded in together, trying to get all the pork rinds mixed in and the egg. All right, I got this first bowl mixed up, ready to go. So we are going to put it in the pan. All right, so we're going to pull it off the sides so smoke can get around it. All right, so that's what we have right now. Now, the next step is taking hot pepper blend, I can get it open. All right. All right, that is an entire pack of cheese. And we're going to hit it with a little more rub. And then I'm going to put another pair of gloves on, mix up the other one. All right, now we've got the second batch mixed up. Time to put it on top. This is kind of the tricky part, so I just do a little bit at a time. Kind of flatten it out. And try to get it down around them edges to seal that cheese in so that it doesn't ooze out. Some still will find a hole and make its way out. That's all right. Just want to keep in as much as possible. If you don't get it packed good and tight, it can lose its shape and kind of crumble. I'm sure everybody's had a soggy, crumbly meatloaf before.
Now the concept's the same if they were to decide to not do 6 pounds, but
everything's the same. You just make it like you would make your regular meatloaf at home. If you don't want to add onions and peppers and all that kind of stuff, you don't have to. But yeah, I mean, it's the same principle as making a meatloaf in the oven. It's just in the oven you usually do 350, for like 45 minutes or something. Where, in the smoker, we're trying to get that smoke flavor. So we're doing a temperature of 225. And like I said, it's going to take 2 to 3 hours. So let's take it out, put it on the smoker, and wait. smoker. It's got about 35-40 minutes left. Now we're going to make the cheese sauce that's going to go on top. I'm going to cheat a little bit. First thing we're going to do is throw in a bunch of butter. And then we are going to use a couple packs of this. Somewhat cheating, but it's quick and easy. Y'all want to see a baby? Go show them the baby.
Open his eyes up for us.
Is he awake?
He's trying to decide.
Trying to decide?
Yes.
Alright, so we're just going to put 3 of these Velveeta cheese sauce packets in. Normally I would make a homemade cheese sauce with a roux, but we've got so much stuff going on today that this is just quicker and easier. Alright, to that I'm going to add probably half a cup of heavy cream. I don't measure. About that much. And we're gonna make a big bunch of this, and we're gonna pour half of it over top of the meatloaf while it's still in the smoker, and then the other half people can pour on their individual meatloaf slice. 2 big pinches of salt, 2 big pinches of pepper, and then some garlic powder, and some paprika. Then we'll start adding shredded cheese to it, and if it gets too thick, we'll add more cream and butter. And then we're also going to add some diced tomatoes and green chilies. This is cheddar jack, whole bag. I didn't call you a whole bag. We're using the whole bag. Mild cheddar, whole bag. Again, whole bag. We want to keep this sauce fairly thick so that when we pour it on the meatloaf in the smoker that it doesn't just run off. We want it to sit on top of it and kind of glaze it. All right, I'm hoping this works. Looks like it's working.
Guys, meatloaf review.
It's really
Thoughts?
Fantastic. Give it a 9.3.
very high.
I was going with 9.5.
Oh, you just said that because Austin.
Yeah.
Trying to outdo your
good.
son.
It is.
It is good.
Meatloaf,
Meatloaf is
Very
really good.
really good.
I like the cheese on meatloaf. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's the next day after we had our Meat Levi cookout. We made several things yesterday, and we basically made 3 different videos from 3 different things that we cooked yesterday, and we're just doing a wrap up now on all 3. So the next 3 videos we're going to be in the same clothes. So, but it's the same day, all taking place at the same time. One of the things that we did yesterday was a smoked bacon cheeseburger meatloaf. I'm not a huge meatloaf fan. growing up, my mom made meatloaf quite a bit, you know, and it was the traditional meatloaf in the rectangle pan, you know, covered in the ketchup sauce. And, you know, I mean, her meatloaf's good. I'm just not a huge meatloaf fan. You know, it's always served, you know, with mashed potatoes and green beans or whatever. And it just, I think because we had it so much as a kid, I kind of got burnt out on it, and not a huge meatloaf fan. I have always enjoyed a meatloaf sandwich with leftovers. You know, you throw it in the skillet for a few minutes each side and get that good crust on it and make a sandwich. That's always been my favorite part of meatloaf, not actually eating it the night it was ready.
I really like meatloaf. My mom makes a great meatloaf. I always like our meatloaf, side of mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Mix it together.
So we were
Sorry
having
for all those people who don't like to mix their food.
Yeah. So we were having this cookout, and she's still doing keto. So I was trying to figure out what I could make, something that would be good and not violate her diet. And as I've said before, we buy half a cow every year. And so I had a bunch of ground beef, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to smoke a meatloaf. I've smoked one before. It turned out pretty good. But this one was a little different. If you remember, it ended up being a little over 6 pounds. It was 4 pounds of ground beef, 1 pound of mild breakfast sausage, and 1 pound of bacon. And then I mixed it all up. I put down a layer, and then I put down a pound of cheese, and then I put the other layer of meatloaf on top of it. And then I smoked it for about 3 hours. And then I put the cheese sauce that I'd made over top of it and let it smoke for about 30 minutes on that. Everybody loved it.
I will be asking him to make this again.
Everybody
for sure.
absolutely loved it. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm not a big meatloaf fan, but this did not taste like a meatloaf. It tasted like a giant bacon cheeseburger without a bun. It was very good, very easy. It took about 4 hours at 225, and everyone who ate it said, "Oh my God, this meatloaf is amazing." So,
yeah, your cheese sauce too was phenomenal. I think
sauce.
at one point in the video we even tell you that we're gonna add Rotel to it, and we didn't because he was like, "No, I'm not messing with it. It tastes great. We're leaving it as is." And I will tell you, a lot of folks that we had over were putting that cheese sauce on the asparagus or other things that we had on our spread of dinner. So
I will say, next time I make it, I think I'm going to try and add a bunch of diced up pickles inside of it.
That would definitely make it
for more of that, you know, bacon cheeseburger
now, I
taste.
thought it did taste like, I mean, it was very meatloafy to me, if that's a word. I saw that. To me, it was. It still tasted like a meatloaf, but yes, it did have the more cheesy goodness to it. But yes, I think pickles would definitely make it for me more of that cheeseburger.
It was really good,
taste.
and it was extremely easy.
Very popular.
You know, you got to get your hands dirty mixing everything up. You know, of course, I wear gloves, but I mean, after you mix everything up, I mean, you just throw it in the smoker for, you know, 3.5, 4 hours, and that's it. I mean, there's no monitoring it, there's no checking it. I mean, literally, you just watch the thermometer, and when it hits 160 degrees, it's done. So very easy to smoke. You can't mess it up.
I mean, one of the things that Chris did do is, you know, when it came in back in the aluminum foil, you know, there was that grease around the side. You know, he pulled that out and put it on one of our cutting boards, just so when you went to cut it, you didn't have that bottom layer.
Yeah, you know, because I mean, you're baking raw ground beef, so that, you know, you've made a meatloaf, you know how there's grease everywhere. Right. So just get it out, you know, of that container, and make sure you let it rest. We let that one rest about 10-20 minutes, and that way it firms back up. Because if you've ever tried to cut meatloaf, as soon as you get it out of the oven, it just crumbles. It's just so soft, you know. Yeah. So make sure you let it set back up. But it was really, really good.
Yeah, highly recommend
it's going to make some great sandwiches. Absolutely.
Wow.
It's not the kind of meatloaf that you need, you know, your mashed potatoes and all that stuff.
Don't.
It's really good. You know, a lot of people will cover their meatloaf in bacon, and I've tried that before, and it really doesn't do anything for the meatloaf because the bacon is just on the top. So when you're eating that top crust, you get the bacon, but the rest of it you don't. So I dice my bacon up and put it inside and mix it up so that, I mean, you damn near get bacon in every single bite. So really good, really easy. You guys definitely need to give it a shot. If she wasn't on keto, I probably would have brushed the top of it with barbecue sauce for the entire cook before I put the cheese sauce on. But, you know, didn't want to do that and mess up her diet. But definitely something that you need to give it a shot if you have a smoker. If you don't have a smoker, do it in the oven.
Yeah.
You know, do it in the oven.
It'll still be really good.
It's still going to be good. You know, just won't have the smoke flavor, but it's still a lot different than your traditional meatloaf. Next time I might even dice up and put some jalapenos in there for a little bit more kick.
And we used different types of cheese as well, didn't
We did. On the inside, it was queso cheese. I'd never seen it before. It was at Kroger. It was it's shredded cheese, and it's white, and it just says queso. So that's what I used in between layers of the meatloaf, and then on top it was a cheddar cheese sauce that I had made. You know, you've seen in the video with some Velveeta and some mild cheddar and a couple other heavy cream and things like that.
And you'll find in a lot of our videos if we have something that calls for cheese. You know, we like all kinds of cheese, so we don't always follow. Hey, it says sharp cheddar. We use what we have, and it usually.
Because different cheeses melt better than other cheeses
Right.
and different things like
I
that.
think it added flavor.
It was a really good
queso cheese
meatloaf.
did, yeah.
Everybody loved it.
absolutely.
I think she got some video of people eating it and talking about how good it was. So give it a shot, see if you like it, and
Let us know what your favorite meatloaf recipes are, and maybe we'll try one of those as well.
Yeah, my mom always made two. She'd make one with the ketchup
And one without.
on top, no, and then the other one had like a mushroom gravy on top.
okay.
The mushroom gravy one was always my favorite, but she always made two. But anyway, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment, share, send it to your friends, sign up for notifications, all that kind of
And
stuff.
try the recipes, guys. You don't have to make a 6-pounder like we said earlier in our video. You know, you can scale these things down. We know Chris doesn't really use measurements, but you know, you get the idea.
Yeah. So, coming up on vacation, we got about 3 more weeks. We are going to, keep doing videos until we go on vacation. But once we get on vacation, there's going to be like a lot of videos because everywhere we go to eat on vacation, we're going to do some videos on it, just in case, if you guys, ever plan on, we're going to Pensacola. So in case you guys ever plan on going to Pensacola, you'll be able to see where we ate and things we did. We're going to do some shark fishing and some bow fishing and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to send some video. It might just be, no food involved at all. It might just be us fishing or something. So anyway, like, subscribe, and share. And we will see you on the next one. Y'all have a great week.